What are you nerding out about now?
Wow, jumping right in. There's going to be a slight parental advisory, but it is news. It is news. I'll let Joe decide what the advisory is. But first, the Weakest Tamer Began a journey to pick up trash has to be an anime that Joe picked.
It sure is.
Because it's the longest title on this list.
So I've already watched the whole thing, but I started watching it with my boys recently.
How'd you watch the whole thing? I couldn't make it through the title.
I mean, that's half of anime's titles are super long.
I know.
Like I've said before, it's basically an advertisement for what it's about is the title of them. But it's about this little girl who lives in a world where when you turn like 5 or 6, you're given a blessing from the gods and you get abilities, and how strong the ability is determined by how many stars are associated with that ability. So if you've got like a 4-star martial arts, you're doing real good, but if it's a 1-star, you're just okay. And so when her time comes around, she gets 0 stars and a taming ability, and that's it. And so the village decides that she is a curse and she needs to go, like full on go. Like even her parents are in on it. And so the village head basically puts a hit out on her. And so she's, a 6-year-old that is now on the run for her life. And the first thing she does is she goes to the dump heap to see if there's anything useful. So that's why the name of the title is The Weakest Tamer Began a Journey to Pick Up Trash. Because she goes to multiple trash sites along the way to scavenge.
That was the name of his wife's diary when she's a teenager. And then she found Joe.
I'm the trash? What?
Not funny enough. I'll turn up the funny. I'll catch up with Pop here. Don't worry about it. I keep trying.
It's super wholesome. It ends up being a super wholesome anime, and I really liked it. And my boys so far are liking it as well. So yeah, I like it quite a bit.
They could have just called it Dump Run.
But yeah, even though my joke didn't land, Kurt, it was still shorter than the title of that show.
Like everything we've said tonight is shorter than the title of that show.
Yeah. We are recording wise, we're almost an hour in, and it's still shorter. So Kurt, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's all you.
Oh man. Just X-Men 97 had the third to the last episode. And how do I know that? Because it's a 3-part finale. And man, it's
also
so good.
Episode 8.
Yeah, it's episode 8. It's so good. It's so good. They did exactly what I wanted, which was take the sensibilities from the old X-Men cartoon and put way better writing to it. And they just did. And so they're even making corrections like it's a little spoilery, but I don't care because it's our show. They revealed that Emma, the White Queen, Emma Frost, has the diamond ability because in the comics she can have her body be comprised of diamond and be as tough as a diamond, or be telekinetic. She can't do, or telepathic. She can't do both at the same time. But
she did in the movie, didn't she?
Yeah, but that's not really canon.
I mean, you're not wrong, but
but the movies took liberties. Let's just say that the movies took liberties.
But the animation never had her be diamond.
Right, the animation never had her be diamond, but in order to bring her up to the comic area, they did that. And so they've been making those little corrections here and there throughout the whole thing. It's been brilliant. And there's been real death in this.
I know.
There's been presumed death, but people haven't died. And so they're just bringing it all. And the end of this episode had an iconic line said by an iconic person. and it just made you go.
You're not.
Yes.
You're not referring to. I hope you're not referring to.
That was the first episode.
The car. No.
No.
To the family in the car. And Scott Summers.
No.
No. Okay. Good. I know what you're referring to now.
No.
Because here's what I love about X-Men 97. It makes me right, because I've said all along Summers is a bleep face and he is a bleep head. And people love to argue with me. People even love to buy me little figurines of Scott because I hate him so much. And he is just doubling down every episode on how much of a D-bag he is.
So here's the cool thing. Here's the cool thing about the whole Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor thing. In the original cartoon, it got really confusing.
Yeah.
Like, because Madeline Pryor was sort of a clone of Jean Grey. Right. And it was all really confusing. Even in the comics, they like substituted Madeline Pryor or Jean Grey for Madeline Pryor during the Phoenix thing, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. But in the cartoon, it was really confusing. And we find out that not only is it not confusing anymore, it's really straightforward. They're dealing with the real fallout of the realization.
That is really good.
And they revealed that they let everybody know during the original X-Men animation that about who was who and what was what. And we didn't pick up on it ever.
We never saw it. Right.
And the original writer from back then said, yeah, that was the intent the whole time.
Yeah.
And if you go back and rewatch it, you'll know.
It was deep then. We just weren't prepared to go that deep at that era.
It was, but it was still very much
90s.
We're selling toys.
Yeah.
You know, it was still very much in that. I mean, honestly, I think that they took their cues, and I've said this before, from the Justice League and cartoons and the Batman the Animated Series cartoons, because they had way more mature writing, and now we get that for our X-Men cartoon. And they're putting cameos of other superheroes in it, and it's awesome.
Yes, I saw that. I was very happy with that, this last one. But yeah, no, my friend who also watches this, he texted me. I forgot it was Wednesday night last night. So he texted me like, he gave me the quote from, you don't screw with the Summers family. I'm like, and then when they delivered the lines, like, oh, you're a little less of a friend of mine now. I think it's like, that's not the best line of this show. But I mean, that's like the worst line of this show. But yeah, I know the iconic one.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was interesting. Okay. How much did you pay attention to? They did the little 90s glamour shot montage of heads turning. Okay. So I think the first one was Beast. I forget the second one was, but the second person was almost like that I think they did it on purpose. Like Beast turned and then you see the face of whoever, and they were like, and this is in real time. Slow click. And they clicked in, and then the next one turned on time. And I was like, I think they did that on purpose to mess with the 90s stuff when 90s teams did that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they did that. Yeah. But there's just been so many little Easter eggy things. And
I hope death is not as serious as they're making it, because I'm not going to talk about it, but and then godlike powers, man, they are really differentiating the tiers of lower level mutants, mid-level mutants, and god level mutants, and they are not playing. Rogue really has come out god level, as has somebody else that we won't talk about there, but so good. All right, here's your little disclaimer. This is actual news in the real world from our government about the Lord's lettuce, but if you're against it, you may want to skip forward about 3 hours, because I get wordy. But no, it's so today they announced, I've been following the news on this, the DEA for months now has been talking about trying to deregulate cannabis and declassify it. Class 1 drugs, stuff like you would expect, opioids, right? Because you can overdose, they can kill you real fast. Meth, heroin, stuff like that. Yeah, all this stuff, real bad stuff that everybody knows. Man, you get too much of that too fast, you're dead. Or if you get even if you do it over time, you're still dead because it ruins your body. And weed, cannabis is a tier 1. And this is a fact. You can look it up on the internet. DuPont, back in the early days of America, who grew cotton, didn't want to compete with hemp. So he used his money and influence to get the government to ban hemp or ban cannabis, because yes, it can get you high. And so that's a bad thing. And he got it banned so that hemp couldn't be grown and compete with his cotton. All right, so that's where that came from. And it's gone up and down, back and forth, all this stuff. But it's still not, everybody with a rational mind can say it's not the same as all those other drugs that are tier 1. So the DEA has officially announced, I'm not sure when it takes effect, but they're going to declassify it down to level 3. Now, level 4 is stuff like aspirin and Tylenol, OTC, right, over the counter. Level 3 is kind of stuff like you need a pharmacist, but you don't necessarily need a script. It's stuff like a Sudafed and or low level scripts like Adderall or things that are not like that bad, right? Asthma inhalers, where you do have to have a script, but it's not huge, right? So it's going down to level 3. But I don't take sides in politics. I don't care about politics, but I'm very curious to see if this comes out. Chuck Schumer and a couple other leaders in Congress have come together and today announced the Cannabis Administration Opportunity Act, which will end federal cannabis prohibition. They are trying to get it off of the controlled substance list, period. And they're talking about this act is not just going to do that. It's going to decriminalize everything, meaning it's going to wipe the records clean of everybody who went to jail or prison only on cannabis charges.
Are they going to release them?
They're going to release them. They're going to wipe the records clean across the board, because he goes on to say about how this level of prosecution has led to good people not being able to get jobs. It haunts them for the rest of their life. Did not get jobs. They talked about a little bit of the health aspects, but they're really focused on, cleaning up people's lives so they can get jobs, this and that and the other. And they admitted that it's time to end the war on drugs, because the war on drugs is not about cocaine.
Right.
It's about weed. It's about cannabis, and always has been. And it says it's time to end the war on drugs because it has done this harm, this harm, this harm. And then they ended with, and it's mostly been a war on Americans of color. And I'm like, I don't know the rest of your politics, Chuck Schumer. You could be the worst human in the world, but I'm glad somebody stood up and admitted that history about all of this. So that's what I'm nerding out about. And I know people can disagree, and that's okay, but I'm happy today.
So I actually looked it up while you were talking. The actual definition of a class 3 or a schedule 3 classification for drugs is drugs with low to moderate potential for abuse and or addiction, but less dangerous than schedule 1 or 2. Duh.
There you go.
These drugs can be obtained through a prescription, but generally are not available over the counter. So that's okay, because for the places where marijuana is legal, there's recreational as well.
Well, if you add this, basically they're saying, no, this is no worse than alcohol. No more controlled substance list. Then it becomes cigarettes versus a prescription.
Right.
But it's a huge step.
So what they do have, they have schedule 3 drugs, and they give a few examples. Suboxone, ketamine, and anabolic steroids are schedule 3. When misused, they can be addictive, but they're less dangerous than the other ones. And the other ones are things like methadone, Demerol, Vicodin, OxyContin, fentanyl, morphine, codeine, heavy duties.
Yeah, and Suboxone, I have a person working for me who takes it. She comes in every 2 weeks with a drug test, and Suboxone is for heroin addicts. And unfortunately, when she was young, she had a heroin issue, and she's proven every 2 weeks that she is taking every step to keep that away. But so and
for people who are wondering, well, what's the difference between 3 and 4? 4 includes Xanax, Soma, Klonopin, Valium, Ativan, and those are classified as Schedule 4 with a low probability for misuse and abuse, but they're definitely effective. Like if you've ever had Valium or Xanax or Klonopin, there's an effect there. But apparently the possibility for addiction is low on those.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's great. People do get addicted to Tylenol and Motrin, and that's just walk in, grab it on the shelf.
Oh,
and that's
nasal sprays.
Afrin, those kind of things.
And those things. Yep.
Yep.
My dad used to take trips every I don't know, 6 months or so up to Canada to get Tylenol with codeine.
A buddy of mine that was in a quartet of mine when we did shows in Canada would buy three bottles of Tylenol with codeine because they still have it.
Yeah.
Now there is a maximum amount you can bring back across the border, so before it considers drug trafficking.
Look, right. Let's look to our cousins to the north, right? Canarnia. All right. So they have stuff. I mean, they have so many less restrictions on medications than we do. And arguably their society is on par with ours, health-wise, societally, emotionally, together, if not a little bit better. I think we can learn a little bit more from them. I don't want everything they do. I know they're not perfect, but they're definitely not a third world country for sure.
I do know that the one thing that I'm getting out of this story, Charles, is that I did the right thing by continuing to invest in corporate cannabis.
Maybe so, sir. Maybe so. All right. The last thing I made Joe put it down. So Joe ordered some new monitors last week, and I think it was after the show. I was looking at the links with you, and they were no longer on sale because they had sold out. I think it sold out. So you got a really good sale. You don't have to talk about the money. I don't care about that, but talk about what you got. What were your monitors?
Yeah, I mean, they're not the craziest of crazies, but for the price point, they were very nice. So I got some Asus 27-inch 1440p gaming monitors, and it's a huge step up from my.
Your face is so much brighter right now. Actually, that's why I did the big screen on the screen.
Yeah, my old monitors, they were like 15 to 20 years old. They still had VGA hookups for them. They were old. I was actually using a DVI port to VGA adapters for them. The maximum that they could transmit at was 60 hertz, whereas these monitors
240, weren't they?
They're 240 unless you can actually go in and you can overclock the monitors themselves to get up to 260 hertz. Not that I want to overclock my monitors.
Yeah, I want to see this show at 240 hertz where our voices come out before the mouths move.
But yeah, super good. I got them at 43% off. Right now they're available again, but they're only 25% off right now. So
it's just $70 more expensive than you got them.
Yep.
So you were right place, right time, because you'd order them that morning of the show, or was it And so within less than 12 hours, because of course we like to geek out, and I was going to click on the link and go look at it. I was like, Joe, I don't even know how much you paid. They're not being sold. I was like, holy crap! It was like that fast. It's a good sale you got.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that you're super excited. What game are you going to try to push the limits of this monitor?
Minesweeper.
Oh, no, Minesweeper's better. Damn it!
No, I got to get back to Hogwarts Legacy. I think that would be a good one to play on this. I have to turn the graphics lower on it though, because my computer itself can't fully handle it.
I was about to say your next upgrade probably should be a video card to take full advantage of the great monitors you have.
Yeah, I mean, my computer now is sitting at 4 or 5 years old, so I need to start saving up to just overhaul the whole system. I did get the new or the extra RAM, so that's been helping quite a bit. But actually, maybe I need to try Hogwarts Legacy again and check to see if maybe the RAM was the limiter on that and not my graphics card. Could be. I didn't actually look at the stats with the task manager or anything like that, so that's actually a curious experiment to do.
I presume you've got SSDs.
Yeah, well, I've got an SSD, and then I do have a hard drive as well. So it's a hybrid there, but yes, yeah. So anything that is bulk storage, I toss onto the hard drive because it's got more space.
Sure.
So